Welcome back everyone, I'm prepared to be bedazzled because today we're going to be perusing eBay for stellar deals on Pokemon trading card loss. Lamentably, unfortunately, much to my dismay, much of my consternation, much of my distress, much of my grief, much of my agony, we are inapt to stumble upon any stellar deals for Pokemon trading card loss. Ideally, we want to be able to procure the original 151 Pokemon cards. We want holographic first generation Pokemon cards. Are we inapt to find them? Of course. Lamentably, you can no longer procure them for around 40 cents each. However, in the latter half of the 1990s, you were eligible to procure holographic first generation Pokemon cards for around 40 cents each if you managed to pull them from booster packs. I recollect the booster packs being priced around $3 each, and they presumably came with 3 to 12 Pokemon cards. So if you want to procure those homogeneous cards today, then you're more than likely going to have to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. It's all predicated upon the conditions of those cards. But if you want the original 151 Pokemon cards, then you can expect to pay presumably anywhere from $500 to $2,000. I'm uncertain of the exact price. Lamentably, I relinquished my Pokemon cards for pennies on the dollar. I knew their secondhand market values at the time, but when you're a full-time student and you're dispossessed of your time, it's not a viability to afford to lease a storage unit for a prolonged period of time, especially when you're bereft of your time to work, therefore preempting you from being able to generate revenue as a student. So I used to have a holographic Venusaur and Blastoise, but that topic will be reserved for another video. I'll defer speaking about that for now. And I knew their second-hand market values at the time, and begrudgingly, against my own volition, I conceded to relinquishing them to the buyer for pennies on the dollar, for a negligible amount of money, in spite of their steep second-hand market values. The buyer exploited my precarious situation. It's just not a viable idea to lease a storage unit while you're a full-time student, and you know that it's going to take years to earn degrees. Being a student eviscerates you of your time needed to work, and if you cannot work, you cannot generate revenue. If you cannot generate revenue, then you cannot afford to fund the lease for a storage unit. It's as simple as that. But we'll move on. Here's another log comprised of 56 random Pokemon trading cards. Ideally, you want to procure the original 151 Pokemon trading cards. Those are nostalgic. Those are extraordinary Pokemon trading cards just because they're so iconic and classic and nostalgic. And will indeed tickle your fancy and pique your interest, especially if you're an avid, avowed Pokemon fan. So I'm not a fan of the newer Pokemon trading cards. I'm not a fan of the Generation 5, Generation 6, Generation 7, Generation 8, or Generation 9 Pokemon. I think the designs look jejune, and I think they're essentially bastardized versions of Pokemon just because they look like they were drawn by children in lieu of adults. The Generation 1, 2, 3, and 4 Pokemon feel organic. They also have ineffably epic designs. They look like they're poised for battle, but the newer Pokemon they appear to be jolly and jovial, and they do not look like mature, battle-ready creatures. They do not look like they're primed to be embroiled in combat, in death battles against other Pokemon. They look more akin to cartoon characters from a children's TV series. instead of creatures that are bred for combat. I always thought Digimon was appealing because the digital monsters are warriors. They're typically stoic, heroic warriors that are poised for battle. They're ready and willing to enter the fray and decimate any adversaries within their vicinities. Here we have a lot of 1999 Pokemon Jungle cards. There's no holographic Pokemon cards. Again, this lot is devoid of merit. People want top dollar for their Pokemon cards. They may have bought them for around 40 cents each, but they would prefer to sell them for hundreds or thousands of dollars. They want to be able to maximize their seller surplus. They want to be able to maximize their profits. It's not about offering value to the customer. For them, it's about profit maximization, and that's their overarching goal. That's why it's so arduous, it's so cumbersome to stumble upon a stellar deal for a Pokemon trading card lot, even though eBay is deluged with Pokemon trading card lots. The deals are just egregiously abysmal, and they are always subpar for the most part. And if you do manage to stumble upon a stellar deal for Pokemon trading cards, the lot will more than likely instantaneously get sold out. These type of stellar deals seldomly populate via eBay, so just be wary of that. You will need to frequently check eBay, probably hundreds of times a day, in the hope that you would be able to procure a stellar lot for Pokemon trading cards before it gets sold out. We have a Lapras and a Moltres. The Lapras is a holographic Lapras. Is that Moltres holographic? I cannot tell. I did not think so, and I just verified the veracity of that. It is not holographic. So he's asking for around $29.45 plus sales tax if you win the bid. Almost $16 per Pokemon card is a definite pass. I understand if you can no longer get the holographic Pokemon cards for around 40 cents each, but I'm not willing to pay a markup that is well over 5,000% more than their retail price, especially considering that the cards are used and not unscathed and not in mint condition. They're not in pristine condition. Is this mortifying? Is this appalling? Is this a harrowing experience? Well, this experience is indeed calamitous and direful. I cannot find a single stellar deal for Pokemon trading card lost today. I'm perusing through eBay, making an earnest attempt to do so, but my efforts are nugatory, unavailing, and they're an exercise of sheer and utter unalloyed vanity. I'm really disinterested in buying any of these random Pokemon trading card loss. The seller will advertently omit any covetable, worthwhile, highly desirable cards from the loss. If he's going to include a holographic card, it'll probably be an undesirable holographic card that is not on par with the Generation 1 holographic Pokemon cards. So I do not care if they're first edition or second edition or third edition. It doesn't even bother me. They're shadowless. But I do want a full set of the original 151 Pokemon cards. They do not have to be in near mint condition. Even if they're in poor condition, I mean, if I can procure them for a reasonable price, then I would be amenable to buying them. It's just predicated upon how much I'm being charged. If I could afford to do so, would I buy a full set of the original 151 Pokemon cards for around the $150 price point, presumably even if their conditions were not the best. I do not understand why they did not reprint them. It's unfathomable. They could easily do so, but they choose to shirk on doing so for some peculiar reason. There's all this pent-up demand for the original 151 Pokemon cards, and if they reissue them, they would sell out. But they'll more than likely never do so. I do not know why they're advertently taking imprudent measures to not maximize their profits, because they're printing Pokemon trading cards that are not as desirable as the Generation 1 Pokemon trading cards. They're leaving money off the table, metaphorically speaking. Or is it on the table? No, I'm curious. I think it's on the table. I think it's on the table, but you would think that it'd be off the table because the table would more than likely house the profits. But if the expression is supposed to be leaving money on the table, then they literally are leaving money on the table, metaphorically speaking, because they can become so much more profitable if they were to reprint those original 151 Pokemon cards. That would devalue the existing supply of Generation 1 Pokemon cards, but it would cause there to be a surge in demand for Pokemon cards and lead to them obtaining higher sales revenue and higher profits, as well as higher sales volume. So this shopping session was futile. It was a sheer another waste of time. I didn't stumble upon a single stellar deal for Pokemon trading card loss. All these deals are abysmal. They're devoid of holographic Pokemon cards, and then in situations when holographic Pokemon cards are included in the loss, they charge a premium price for them, even though you're already paying a premium price to buy the cards in a large quantity. So it's just a money pit. It's just a sunk cost investing and buying any of these loss. You know that it will yield a negative return on investment, and you know that you're paying an exorbitant markup, and you cannot even mitigate paying, especially if you're not too fond of the newer Pokemon cards released amid the 2020s and the 2010s. So I hope that you found this video to be intriguing and insightful. We have some Blaine Gym Leader cards. Of course, a lot is devoid of holographic Pokemon cards, as are most others. We also have some Giovanni Gym Leader cards that does not have a single holographic Pokemon card, but it is what it is. Once again, I hope that you found this video to be engrossing. Let's see what else we have here. No holographic Pokemon cards, of course, that comprise this lot as far as I'm aware. Oh, never mind. You'll receive at least 10 reverse or holo cards. So you do get holo cards, but they're more than likely not going to be the covetable, desirable holographic Pokemon cards from the first generation. But nonetheless, you are getting $5 Pokemon cards for $37 plus sales tax. However, these cards are not the first generation Pokemon cards for the most part and are inapt to be, so in my opinion, it's not a warranted purchase. Once again, I hope you deem this video to be informative, and I hope that you were regaled and bedazzled and amused. Have a blissful day. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.